The world of 3D animation was about to change when Maya was released in 1998 by Alias Wavefront, which was their next generation 3D animation software after Power Animator. The interesting thing is that it was developed by input from Walt Disney Feature Animation, which specifically requested a highly customizable user interface and the ability to modify and add code to make the software more reliable for their projects. In hindsight, this was a good thing, but at the time, it was a big change. You see, animators accustomed to more straightforward, artist-friendly tools kind of felt overwhelmed by the idea that they might need to program or manage a web of nodes. Some artists and animators feared this may favor technical people and leave them behind. So what are these changes that happened and how they affected Maya and the industry at large? When Alias Wavefront was developing Maya in the mid-90s, Disney Feature Animation came to them with very specific demands. You might wonder, what would they want from Alias, since they have already existing animation tools like Softimage? You see, Disney was preparing its first 3D animated feature film called Dinosaur, which was gonna be released in the year of 2000. And their animators were used to custom in-house tools. They didn't just want a shrink-wrap 3D package, they wanted something they could bend to their pipeline. This might not be the only reason, but that's where Maya's customizable at the core philosophy came from. Disney asked Alias for a completely open architecture, a system where studios could rewrite the interface, automate workflows, and build proprietary tools on top of it. This request directly led to the development of ML, Maya Embedded Language, and the Dependency graph system. The result was a game changer. MEL let studios script commands, build new UIs, and hide complexity from animators. The dependency graph meant any aspect of the scene, like modeling, rigging, animation, dynamics, and so on, could be connected and reconnected without breaking everything. Exactly the kind of flexibility that Disney needed. When Maya 1.0 shipped in 1998, it wasn't just a replacement for Power Animator. It was essentially co-designed with Disney's production needs in mind. This is why you often see notes in Maya's history saying the open architecture was developed at Disney's requests and partly responsible for its popularity in the animation industry. It set Maya apart from the competitors like Softimage, which was very animator friendly, but not nearly as extendable, and I think this is where Maya got its reputation from early on. As soon as this customization was enabled, major studios were quick to take notes of Maya's flexibility. And here's the fun fact: Alias Wavefront discontinued its older Power Animator software line upon Maya's release, encouraging users to migrate. Here's another interesting thing: within a few years, leading VFX houses like ILM and Tippett Studio had switched from their earlier packages, such as Softimage, to Maya, and by 1999, industry veterans were calling Maya the de facto standard for high-end 3D character and effects animation. Early coverage in Animation World magazine highlighted that Maya was a fresh codebase combining features from multiple predecessors like TDI Explore, Wavefront, Alias Power Animator, and so on, but built for performance and a new level of interactivity, like for example having a universal undo, animatable construction history, and so on. For many studios, this was a new thing, so they embraced the fact that virtually anything in Maya could be customized or programmed. This was like a dream come true for technical directors who could integrate Maya deeply into their production pipelines. Some of them in fact didn't know that was possible at the time. Early reviews often praised Maya's ambition because, to be honest, as far as I know, no software has done that before, at least not at the same level. For example, Animation World magazine in 1998 noted that many familiar tools were present, but the salient point of Maya was the ability to remap relationships on the fly, offering enormous creative flexibility. It also pointed out the inclusion of MEL, Maya Embedded Language, for scripting custom UIs and automating tasks, and an API for plugin development. You see, this mix of power and potential excited many technical artists and large studios, who saw Maya as the future of 3D animation. However, not everyone in the industry was immediately comfortable with Maya's approach, especially those from more traditional or purely artistic backgrounds. So alongside the enthusiasm, there was notable hesitation and intimidation among some traditional animators when Maya arrived, simply because the flexibility of the software came hand in hand with complexity. One early reviewer admitted that Maya's openness with Max scripting and C++ API at first impression tends to favor the very technical. As you can imagine, animators accustomed to purely straightforward, artistic-driven tools felt overwhelmed by the idea that they might need to program or manage a web of nodes. The sentiment captures the worry that artistry might be overshadowed by engineering or programming, and while the new possibilities gave animators additional horsepower, it made the interface dense, so the only true complaint is the complexity of having so many tools at your disposal. Traditional animators who were used to more guided, less open-ended software could find this daunting. In contrast to Maya, earlier animation software often followed a more artistic-driven workflow, where the toolset was fixed and tailored to common tasks out of the box. For example, Softimage has earned praise for an intuitive animation system. Its actor component even won the 1997 SciTech Award, in addition to having a consistent GUI, allowing animators to focus on posing and timing rather than custom tool building. Maya's philosophy was different. It provided a playground for customization, expecting users or studios to configure to their needs. And here is the funny thing. The very flexibility that intimidated some animators also allowed solutions. Studios quickly adopted the practice of having technical directors, or TDs, or Maya power users to create simplified interfaces and rigs for the animators. As reported in 1998, Maya programmers can set up a character UI that would leave only keyframing and posing slider bars to let the animators just animate, effectively hiding the complexity under the hood. This kind of customization reassured many artists that they could enjoy Maya's high-quality results without wading through the entire feature set, which I think is a smart move. Furthermore, I also want to mention that as people gained experience, the initial fear often gave way to appreciation. The Animation World Review author, after using Maya more, conceded that even the art school type could get comfortable, because the software standard tools were robust enough to do complex animation without heavy scripting. And I think in hindsight, this ability to customize actually gave birth to many great things, like the ability of studios and even individual users to create their own plugins and tools, which helped the community a lot over the years, especially when it comes to things that Maya couldn't do back in the day, like effect simulations, destruction effects, creating fires, smokes, water simulations, and so on. And there you have it, guys. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please subscribe to the channel to receive more videos like this. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.